Hello, dear friends. All advanced civilizations have giant ships, but this is a novelty here. Opinion piece. Chinese 1 kilometer spacecraft. China wants to build a giant spacecraft. It would assemble thousands of components in orbit, 10 times bigger than the space station. Could face many technical problems. Would take away many years to build in orbit. Taiwan deploys aircraft against a major Chinese air invasion. 750,000 evictions put the US on the brink of a social explosion. Dollar nears 1 month low, gold nears 2 month high. Afghan female students to wear a niqab to cover their faces. Taliban have burned 90% of Afghanistan's opium crops. 600 people work to repair damage at Kabul airport. Taliban hold 100 Americans hostage at airport. 22-kilometer long oil spill found in the Gulf of Mexico. Military overthrows Guinea-Conakri president in a coup d'etat. World aluminium prices soar on Guinea-Conakri coup d'etat. Brazil loses more than 4,600 square kilometers of Amazon forest in 1 year. Japan to build an underwater tunnel to dump radioactive water from Fukushima. Manuscripts that gave rise to the legend of King Arthur and Merlin deciphered. Let's start. China is studying the possibility of building a 1 kilometer long spacecraft. The structure would be 10 times the size of the International Space Station. According to the paper, the spacecraft would be an important strategic aerospace equipment for future use of space resources, exploration of the mysteries of the universe, and long-term life in orbit. However, the feasibility of the project is still being studied. According to experts, the construction of such a spacecraft could face a lot of technical problems due to its enormous size. It is estimated that China could send thousands of components to be assembled in orbit, which would take much longer than the 12 years it took to build the International Space Station. Under this scenario, major parts of the spacecraft are expected to have the potential to be replaced due to the long construction period. If the project is funded, the feasibility study will have a duration of 5 years and a budget of $2.3 million, according to Scientific American. The China National Space Administration is China's national space agency responsible for the national space program and the planning and development of space activities. Despite its short existence, the agency has pioneered several achievements in space for China, such as being the first space agency to land on the far side of the moon with Change 4 and bring back material from the moon with Change 5, the second to successfully land and orbit a rover on Mars with Tianwen-1, and the creation of the Tiangong Space Station in 2021. Finance. Dollar nears 1 month low. The dollar languished near a 1 month low against major peers on Monday, as investors pushed back expectation of when the Fed will begin tapering its massive stimulus. Gold hovers near 2 month high. Gold prices held steady near a 2.5 month high on Monday, after disappointing jobs data raised hope that the Fed may wait a little longer to cut stimulus measures, bolstering gold's appeal as a hedge against inflation. Bitcoin price tops $51,000 for first time since mid-May. The price of the cryptocurrency Bitcoin surpassed the 51,000 mark in early trading Monday for the first time since May 13th. Global food prices rise in August to near a decade high. I repeat it, and excuse me. Global food prices rise in August to near decade high. Global food prices are rising once again and have returned to near decade highs. The FAO issued a statement Thursday detailing that after 2 consecutive months of declines, world food prices rose in August due to solid gains in sugar, vegetable oils and cereals. A strange contradiction in the market. Stocks are at record highs, but investors are bracing for crisis. On one hand, stocks trading at record highs, levitating every day with no apparent consent in the world, with traders complacent that any pocket of air in the market will simply mean more accommodation by the Fed that may not abate at that, according to some, may even produce more money injection. On the other hand, traditional bear market signals such as CNN's fear and greed indicator are deep in neutral territory, having fallen into fear territory as recently as a month ago, while the skew index, which many see as an indicator of crash readiness, is near record highs, prompting a warning from none other than Goldman Sachs. Europe. European stocks end near record highs. European stocks rose Monday to close near record levels, led by technology shares that climbed to their highest level this year, as a surprise increase in German factory orders pointed to improving global demand and boosted confidence. ECB to cut aid. With the Eurozone economy coming back to life, the European Central Bank will debate a cut in its stimulus on Thursday, with a protracted and acrimonious discussion on how to dismantle the crisis-fighting measures that have kept the bloc afloat. European banks continue to book profits in tax havens. Europe's biggest banks continue to use tax havens to book big profits, a trend that has changed little since 2014, despite country-by-country disclosures becoming mandatory. 64 asset managers missed the mark. BlackRock, Fidelity, Legal & General, M&G, and ABRDN are among 125 firms backed by Britain's toughest best practice code to stop greenwashing by asset managers, yet 64 peers failed to make the grade. Afghanistan. Taliban declare complete capture of Panjshir. The Taliban declared Monday the conquest of the northern province of Panjshir, the only region of the country that had not fallen to the Islamists, although the historic resistance that has protected the area for decades denies the capture and has called for continued fighting throughout Afghanistan. Panjshir resistance denies province fall to Taliban. The National Resistance Front of Afghanistan, as the guerrilla group resisting in Afghanistan's Panjshir province identifies itself, denied the province fall to the Taliban and assured that fighting continues. In quotes, the Taliban's claim that they occupied Panjshir is untrue, he said. Afghan resistance leader says ready for talks with Taliban. The leader of the Afghan opposition group resisting Taliban forces in Panjshir Valley, north of Kabul, said Sunday he welcomed proposals by religious scholars for a negotiated settlement to end the fighting. Hundreds work to repair damage to Kabul airport. There is a team of about 600 people working to repair this facility and get the airport up and running, but officials say it will be another week before that happens. Islamic State says it carried out Sunday attack on Iraqi police near Kirkuk. Islamic State militants claimed responsibility Monday for an overnight attack Sunday on a guard post near the city of Kirkuk that killed 10 Iraqi police and wounded 4. Blockade. More than 1,000 people are waiting for flight clearance to leave the Afghan city of Mazar-i-Sharif. About 1,000 people, including Americans, are stuck in Afghanistan for days waiting for clearance to leave their charter flights, blaming the delay on the State Department. Taliban hold 100 Americans hostage at the airport. The ranking Republican on the House Foreign Affairs Committee said the Taliban group will not allow a group of 100 Americans to leave an airport in northern Afghanistan. Republican Michael McCaul from Texas said 6 planes seeking to transport Americans and Afghans from the Mazar-i-Sharif airport in Afghanistan cannot leave because the Taliban are holding them hostage and are making demands for their release. Taliban blocked at least 6 planes carrying US refugees leaving Afghanistan. The Taliban grounded 6 private planes seeking to evacuate at least 1,000 people, including more than 1,000 Americans from Afghanistan, amid negotiations with the State Department. Prospective passengers have yet to board planes in the city of Mazar-i-Sharif, which were chartered by Mercury One, a charity founded by Glenn Beck. The Taliban also suspended 3 other evacuation flights, 2 on a plane chartered by the International Development Organization Sayara and 1 by Goldbelt Inc., an Alaska Native corporation. The Taliban suspended the flights amid a breakdown in negotiations with the State Department, and one added that the Taliban may be attempting to extort money from the airline or the State Department in exchange for takeoff clearance. Taliban execute pregnant ex-police woman. Taliban militiamen reportedly killed a pregnant policewoman identified as Negara in Ghor province in western Afghanistan on Saturday. The woman worked in a prison as an official before the Taliban seized Kabul on August 15th. Afghan female students must wear abaya and niqab. Afghan female students will not be allowed to mix with men in classrooms and must wear a black abaya and a niqab covering their faces, according to a decree issued by the Taliban regime on the eve of the reopening of private universities. East. Indian girl beaten to death for wearing jeans. Neha Pashwan, 17 years old, was allegedly beaten to death by family members in the northern state of Uttar Pradesh because they didn't like her wearing jeans. Her grandfather and uncles had brutally beaten the teenager with sticks after an argument over her clothes at her home in Swadeshi Karg village in the Oria district. Taiwan deploys aircraft against large-scale Chinese air invasion. Taiwan's Air Force has again deployed fighter jets to repel a large-scale Chinese military aircraft incursion into the island's defense zone. Sunday's Chinese incursion was much larger than usual, with 19 aircraft, including nuclear-capable bombers, entering Taiwan's air defense identification zone. America, or Americas in plural. 750,000 evictions put the US on the brink of social upheaval, with 750,000 US homes facing eviction. Officials want the nation's lawyer to work for free. The Justice Department is asking them to volunteer to fight the dreadful runaway eviction scenario looming on the horizon. Flash floods threaten southern US states. Southern states continue to deal with widespread power outages and waterlogged homes after deadly Hurricane Ida faced new flash flood threats Monday due to slow-moving rains and thunderstorms. More than 500,000 Louisiana residents remain without power 8 days after Hurricane Ida. More than 80% of oil production in the Gulf of Mexico remains offline a week after Ida. A U.S. regulator said Monday, more than a week after the storm made landfall and hit critical infrastructure in the region. 22-kilometer long oil spill found in Gulf of Mexico after Hurricane Ida. An oil spill more than 22 kilometers long has been discovered in the Gulf of Mexico in the aftermath of Hurricane Ida. A private dive team will attempt to locate the source of a suspected oil spill detected in the Bay Merchant area. Mexico will be the only producer of the newest BMW second series or two series in the world. On September 2nd, BMW presented to the public the first 2 series model manufactured at the Mexican plant in San Luis de Potosí, which from now on will produce this car for the entire world. Brazil loses more than 4,600 square kilometers of Amazon forest in 1 year. The Brazilian Amazon lost more than 4,600 square kilometers of forest between August 2019 and July 2020, according to a report by the Network of Environmental Organizations, CIMEX. Hundreds of Salvadorans protest rallying that enables Bukele's re-election. Hundreds of Salvadorans, mainly young people, protested this Sunday in the capital of El Salvador against the rallying of the Constitutional Chamber of the Supreme that enables presidential re-election and opens the possibility for President Nayib Bukele to complete for a second term in 2024. Africa. Military overthrows Guinea-Conakri president in coup. Confusion gripped Guinea-Conakri on Sunday after President Alpha Condé was arrested by military who declared the dissolution of the constitution and the government in a coup d'état. Special forces soldiers appeared Sunday and told the nation they have dissolved its government and constitution and closed its land and air borders. Aluminium prices soared on Guinea-Conakri coup. The coup in Guinea sent aluminium prices to their highest in more than a decade. The West African country is responsible for a large part of the world's supplies of the raw material needed to manufacture the metal. Algeria arrests member of separatist group MAK. Algeria arrested 27 suspected members of a separatist group that the government has declared a terrorist organization following an attack in two northern cities. UN images from northern Ethiopia show humanitarian crisis. Images of war-hit northern Ethiopia, released Monday by the United Nations World Food Programme, reflected the severe humanitarian crisis there, after the United Nations warned that an aid blockade is bringing millions to the brink of starvation. Phone blackout imposed on Nigerian state amid crackdown on kidnappers. Mobile phone networks were shut down in Nigeria's northwestern Zamfara state after authorities ordered a telecommunications blackout to help the armed forces tackle kidnapping gangs. Miscellany. Jean-Paul Belmondo, the tenor smile of French cinema, died Monday at the age of 88, a death that leaves the screen without one of its greatest figures worldwide. Belmondo, who had been in poor health since suffering a stroke in 2001, died peacefully after several days of fatigue, said the actor's lawyer and friend Michael Godest. Japan to build underwater tunnel to dump more than 1 million tons of Fukushima water into the ocean, despite rejection by neighboring countries. Operators of the Fukushima nuclear power plant in Japan have announced plans to build an underwater tunnel about 1 kilometer long and 2.5 meters wide to release 1.27 million tons of treated radioactive water into the Pacific Ocean. A woman in Naples, Italy, won €500,000 in an instant lottery last Friday. However, the lucky woman barely had time to savor her stroke of luck, as the owner of the tobacconist, where she had placed the bet, snatched the winning ticket right there and fled on a motorcycle, but the prize was blocked until the case is resolved. The manuscripts that gave rise to the legend of King Arthur decode. Experts have decoded 7 pages of a 700-year-old manuscript that tells the story of Camelot and the wizard Merlin, key to the legend of King Arthur. Events begin with Arthur, Merlin, Gawain, and a variety of other knights, including King Ban and King Bohors, preparing for battle at Thebes against King Claudas and his followers. Merlin devised the best plan of attack. At one point, Arthur's forces appear to be besieged, but the harangue from Merlin, urging them to avoid cowardice, leads them to fight again, and Merlin leads the charge using Sir Kay's dragon that Merlin have given Arthur, which expires royal fire. In the end, Arthur's forces win. Reflections. According to Benjamin Fulford, in quotes, 90% of Afghanistan's opium fields were burnt to the ground by the Taliban. This has stopped the flow of cash to the dark side. They are very desperate now. They can't get cash from the Fed. London is not issuing more cash either, nor is the European Central Bank printing more cash. Watch for a big false flag. Opening Pandora's box. According to Alcuin Bremetron, there will never be another year like 2020. That year was the devil's last dance before his destruction. The positive energetic changes on the planet that were triggered in the lithosphere, hydrosphere, atmosphere, and subliminal space in several dimensions and in several parallel quantum realities will permanently change present and future human history on Earth. Most of these changes will be profoundly and radically shocking to those who have not yet understood what has been happening behind the scenes, below the surface and above the atmosphere in recent years. But the changes themselves will be very beneficial for human civilization, culture, health, governance, and finance. They will also be beneficial for the climate and the biosphere. Buffness says, "We are all aligned with the final outcome, and we are also waiting for the final cutting call that will allow the maintenance of a system which has been on the sidelines for a long time. Just be assured again, and as we have said hundreds of times, that this is intended to manifest and provide a way to overcome the misuse of funds that has governed much of the economy. There are black hats, white hats, military and politicians, as well as bankers, organizations, etc. Many are in the crosshairs of all this, trying to make sense of it all, or be part of helping to bring about the needed changes. The confusion that reigns is enormous and despendent. Be that as it may, we assure one again that the intended results are guaranteed, not at a level of funding you were led to believe, but there will be payments. Even that has been shortened recently by the elders. Beginning of the 6th night of the Tun calendar, or Tang calendar. September 6th is the beginning of the 6th night of the 9th level of the Tun calendar, which was discovered by Carl Johann Kalemann in 1988. He wrote 5 books on the Tun calendar together with Barbara Handclough and Ian Langgold. We are only 20 days away from entering the 7th day of all 9 levels of the Tun calendar. Just know that God is in control. Breathe and know that this baby is about to be born on October 28. In conclusion, tyranny, like hell, is not easily overcome, but we have this comfort with us, that the harder the conflict, the more glorious the triumph. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.